When I first heard that they were going to reboot the Resident Evil franchise into a new movie series, I was like, let it die. Video game movies are bad, and one of the biggest reasons why they're bad is because of a prime example, the other Resident Evil movies that just don't follow the video games. So I had no hope for this movie. Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City stars Kea Scalderio and Robbie Amell, and is about set in 1998. The origin story explores the secrets of the mysterious Spencer Mansion and the ill-fated Raccoon City. So my experience with the Resident Evil franchise is pretty interesting. Growing up, I was pretty much afraid of these original video games. The first two games my sister played, I was pretty scared of her going around the corner and getting attacked by a zombie and me screaming. It was pretty frightening. Now the movies, the first three movies as a kid was guilty pleasure, and I still have some type of fun with them, but 4 through 6 are utter garbage. So when I heard they were rebooting the franchise, I was like, oh boy, and it's Sony? I'm not ready to watch this, and I had no idea that this movie is coming out this weekend. I had no clue because there's no advertising for this movie, which is really disappointing because, guys, this movie is not that bad. Beginning with those positives is the atmosphere of this movie. This feels like the video game. I think people who play the video games are going to enjoy this movie a lot more than regular old folk. Now, I think people that go watch this regularly can have fun with this movie and notice certain bad things about it, but overall, I think this movie does a really good job with its atmosphere. This feels like a scary atmosphere, like the original games, because I'm pretty sure this movie is trying to take place of the first two video games, which is cool and all. I haven't played them in a really long time, but this movie does a good job feeling like a scary monster has come around the corner. When they go in this house and they have flashlights, there's a really cool sequence of zombies coming out of the corners, and it felt like the video game, and that is the biggest praise about this movie I can say. It feels like the video game, and video game movies usually just say, hey, video game, yeah, we went with the title, a few characters, and we're gonna do whatever we want. No. This one actually does stuff the game does, and it does it pretty well. I'll say this, some of the acting is very subpar. We do get to see Claire and Chris Redfield in the movie in live action, and I think both actors did the part pretty well. I think my biggest issue with these characters, there's not enough of development. We get to see them when they're younger in the beginning and then they grow up, whatever, but there's not enough development for pretty much any character in this movie because a lot of these characters are from the game, which I don't want to spoil because, again, I really didn't know a lot about this movie going in. I just knew that it was Resident Evil movie. So seeing them two, I was like, oh, it's them. And then, oh, it's that character. It's that character. It's that character. Oh, it's that character. So basically the whole time I was sitting like, oh, I remember this because I played the games in a really long time. But for the most part, all the characters felt pretty trustworthy to the games. Like, I remember these characters. There's some cool badass moves between Chris and Claire, and I really appreciate that because there are main characters in the original game. Getting more into the negatives, I do think the first act is pretty awesome. There's some really good setup. Setting up this city, the rain, people bleeding from their eyes, what Raccoon City is about to go through. I really like this first act. The second act was more of the police station and the house and the dark corners and more of the zombies and everything. I really was entertained. The third act is awful. Like, that's just the biggest thing I'd say. It's pretty bad because it's so damn rushed. We get to meet our main villain, then we get stuff happening, and then the movie just ends. Like, it literally just ends. There's nothing like, oh, okay, so, and they try to set up for a sequel. I'm like, listen, I enjoy this movie, but I don't think this movie's gonna get a sequel. I hope it does. I hope it does. And I hope the person that wrote and directed this movie comes back and does a sequel because this person knew, hey, I'm making a Resident Evil movie, not no bullshit crap, Mila Jovovich sci-fi crap. No. We're getting a house, we're getting the police station, we're getting creepy zombies that I wish were in the movie more of, but I do have to say that the movie does have some clunky dialogue, some subpar acting from some other actors. Again, we get our cool characters, names, and everything, but all the subpar actors are very iffy. Like our sheriff in this movie, wow. There is one scene very early on where he's like talking to his police officers and it's really bad. Like I was sitting there cringing. I was like, no, I'm sorry. What's up with this script? Because again, some of the dialogue is pretty damn clunky. But again, I'm not saying this movie's perfect at all. I was entertained. For a person that played the video games when they were young, watching this movie, it felt like the video games. It felt like hey, we're actually going to give the fans what they want. And they did. They did a pretty good job for what it was. It felt like a fun movie. Again, that third act, pretty freaking awful. And usually when they show CGI in this movie, it's pretty awful. There's one big CGI moment at the very end of this movie, and the CGI moment lasts for probably like 3 minutes. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's their budget. That's where the budget all went to, was this one frame and scene. But again, I didn't expect anything going into this movie. So for me to be sitting here telling you, go watch it, especially if you're a Resident Evil fan, go and see this movie, guys. This is 100 times better than all 6 of the other Resident Evil movies. And I definitely recommend this one in the theaters. It's definitely a movie that's probably not going to make any money, but hey, it's a good time. I'm going to give Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City a C+. 100% the biggest surprise of the entire year. Again, I literally went to this movie expecting a D or lower, because that's what video game movies usually are. And Resident Evil, the franchise seriously died after Mila Jovovich, so for this one to come out and be as good as it is, give me another one, honestly. Just like this one, give me another one. I would truly appreciate another movie like this. And you guys enjoy this review, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye-bye, everyone.